Hi, welcome to a conversation with Patrick. But today I have a very impressive personality with me. His name is Julius Rodriquez, and if you are not familiar with the classical music, he will introduce us to it. So let's go right into it. Julius. I grew up. I'm obviously black. I'm from Nigeria. You from Haiti. I think when we come from countries like that, the expectation is either to become a lawyer, a doctor, But why music, and why classical music?
But music to me is just the most natural form of expression for myself. There's a lot of things you can say in music that you can't really express in words, and being that I always had a thing for the rhythm and the harmony, that's what naturally attracted me, and so that's how I choose to express myself.
Tell me some of your principles of success and how you've actually grown to become this successful at your age?
I will say one of the things that really helped, my parents were big on, just exposing me to the new ways of the world. I grew up in the YouTube generation. So whenever I had a concert or a recital or something, my dad would videotape it and put it on YouTube. And people would see that, and the internet, they can go anywhere. So people would start to learn my name very early on. And then I got to start to meet people my age who were playing music. And I just kept an open mind and, did all the different types of things I could do. So my name and my music playing was in different circles. So rather than trying to stay on one path and only do one thing, I tried to diversify the different types of people that I played with, different types of music that I did, and just have it all, come back to, okay, who is this guy Julius? He's playing here with this person who's doing this kind of music, and now he's doing this. I'm interested in, what he's doing himself. And it's just between that and networking, getting to meet as many people as you can, getting to follow up on different relationships, and keeping people updated with what you're doing, and for ways for them to get involved, for you to get involved with what they're doing and collaborate.
What would you say was the turning point for you in making those little steps that have led to your big steps today?
One of the biggest turning points, I did a program called the Young Arts Foundation, and that's sponsored through the National Foundation of the Arts, and they pick young artists in all different disciplines to go to either Miami or LA or wherever, and they do different master classes, and you get to meet the top people of your age group and your discipline, and anyone can apply for it. So it was like I was doing all these different programs with these people, but I never thought that I would get in, and I never knew what it would make of it. But I figured I'd just send in the tape anyways, not knowing what would happen. And that was a big turning point for me, because I met all those people, and I met all my teachers and mentors who kept in touch with me, and ended up calling me for other performances and opportunities and introducing me to other people. So that was a big turning point for me.
I have often told people that it is those little things you do without knowing when it's going to actually become big things that might turn your life around. People always think success is the end game. I think success is the process. And that's what I'm hearing from you right now. It's like sending out those applications, those tapes, and not knowing if or not, or without no expectations of where it's going to take you. But it did take you somewhere.
Exactly. Usually the biggest things that have happened now was just me saying yes to something, not knowing what it was going to be.
Wow.
And just taking the leap. And I have so many stories about that, just...
In what way do you think your talent, or you've used your journey to give back to people?
In terms of giving back, music is a very personal thing. So I feel like people who enjoy music enjoy it for their own personal pleasures. Like, when you look at a painting, you're not going to see it the same way someone else sees it. So it's like you get your own sort of experience with that painting, or when you watch a movie, you get your own sort of experience with that movie. But with live music, it's like you're in the room with the artist who's creating it in real time. So for me, it's just being able to not only convey my emotion through the music, but also help other people tap into their emotions with the music. So that's why I love to just give back in terms of performing and playing music. And in terms of inspiring younger generations, I try to just, be fearless in the things that I do. And show that, anyone can do it, really. You just gotta, get to it.
So So when you say you try to be fearless, what are some of the most fearless things you've done recently?
Recently, so I've been putting out some music lately. As you know, jazz music typically, at least in traditional jazz music, there's not a lot of electronic instruments because it was sort of created in time before we had those technologies.
Yeah.
But I think that since time has passed and we have the new technologies, it's time to sort of update the way we capture that music in recording. So I've been doing things like putting different effects on acoustic instruments and performances and blending with synthesizers, which I don't hear a lot of people doing in jazz music. So I feel like that's a sort of, you know, step outside that I've been taking.
You're pushing the boundaries.
Trying to, yeah.
Very good. Do you ever get like any form of misrepresentation or pushback or undermined because of your color, because of who you are? Like how do you push past that as an artist?
Oh, definitely. One of the biggest ways for me is just to show up and do the best that you can. It's like they can say all they want about the way you look or, you know, the way they perceive you to be, but the reality is if you show up and you do things at a high level, then they can't really say anything. It's like if they're not going to listen, someone else will, and then they'll see you with the other person who did listen to you. Another thing I like to do is, I don't know, since I'm a diverse person, do a lot of different things, I love to show up in spaces that don't expect to see me the way that, you know, they see people that look like me. Like I go to jazz clubs, you don't expect me to be wearing a suit. But, you know, we have, you know, modern day fashion. I love to come into jazz clubs with like streetwear and things like that. And then you might see me the next week somewhere else wearing a suit. It's like I have the dichotomy of, you know, morphing into whatever I want to be, and there's nothing wrong with either of those sides. It's just, you know, different ways to present yourself. And for that reason, I want people to, you know, be able to look at someone who's not wearing a suit, who might be wearing, you know, some high fashion stuff, but not see them as someone who's less than. It's like someone who looks like that, they may not be a rapper, even though a lot of rappers look like that. They may be a classical musician or a jazz musician or a painter. It's like you shouldn't be judging someone based off of the way they look.
Yeah.
How you perceive people who dress like them to be.
Well, who is Julius beside music?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I'm bad at answering that. I'm not great at talking about myself. But
well, today we'll get to you to talk.
I don't know, I like to just enjoy things. Like I try to spend, at least lately I've been trying to spend time with people who aren't musicians, who aren't in my field, because they help me just to learn about myself.
Okay.
And one thing I learned that I love to do in the past year is cook. I love to cook for people.
Okay.
I feel like that comes from my Haitian heritage. We always love to
cook for people.
I love cooking. I love looking at art. Recently got into reading.
Okay.
So I've been reading, especially like works of prolific Black writers like James Baldwin and Toni Morrison, things like that.
What are the big names that you played with, and which one is the most memorable one for you?
Yeah, I'll start with the biggest ones. A$AP Rocky, Macy Gray, Wynton Marsalis, got to work with Anderson .Paak, gotten to work with Michelle Ndiocello. She's probably one of the most memorable ones for me.
My last question to you. What do you want to be remembered for as Julius Rodriquez?
I want to be remembered for opening the door for instrumentalists and people like me. Like, you know, look in pop culture, how many people do you know are famous for playing the piano or playing guitar? We don't have instrumentalists in the forefront anymore. So I want to be that person that sort of opens the door and gets people back to sort of listening to listen rather than, you know, listening with their eyes or just jumping to what's popular and what's going on. I feel like we could be getting back to that.
I do know that you're going to definitely impact the world and create that legacy that you're working towards. So it was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and for making the sacrifice to speak to me today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Thank you.